Hey Gregor, how's it going? So I am ready when you are.
Yeah, I'm also ready. I just also started my stream and I will just share my screen to you, I guess. Let me quickly see.
Very cool.
Okay. Okay. And then we go
So I'm just
like that, and then we go,
I'll get the screen up for you.
and then this one. Okay. Do you have everything? Well,
I do.
okay.
There we go.
Perfect. Okay.
And you are live. Everyone can see your screen.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so basically that's the outfit. So I will start after we cross the start finish straight.
And it's Ferrari.
Yeah, it's the Ferrari, exactly. I mean, it basically doesn't matter which car because you take the same line, you know. It's just like
Yeah.
the car feels just different, but overall you take the same ideal line every time. So like approaching turn 1, it's quite a difficult corner because you can carry much more speed into it than you think. But to be able to do that, you need to basically take a really or not late apex, but you definitely need to stay like straight for a really long time, and then you turn in. So as you will see here, like I'm staying like straight, and then only like at the last part of the braking, when I release the brake, I'm starting to turn in, you know. You see, it's rather a late apex because this allows us to go early on the throttle and carry a lot of speed through it, you know. It's like basically if we go into F7, so if I take my pen again, you will see the braking, it's 100. Okay, this is the 100-meter board. This is the 50-meter board, if I'm correct, should be. So if I remember correctly, we brake at 100 meter, and what you have to do is like I said earlier, you stay straight for a really long time, and then you basically start turning in, hitting the apex, and then accelerating out, you know. What you definitely need to keep in mind is like a lot of people, they start braking maybe at the same point, you know, but they already go to the inside, and you already see the corner will be much more narrow, and you need to you just make the corner unnecessarily more, you know, difficult. You need to rotate the car even more, and so you see, like, to carry the same line there, you will need to decelerate the car even more because you need to do more turning, you know. So that's
Yes.
why it's really important to stay straight for a really long time, and then just turn in rather late to be then full throttle, and don't do a compromise like with the yellow line. That's basically for turn 1.
Okay. How much of the curb do you recommend taking, if any, like for the fast?
Okay, I can show you some. So basically, like, you have a lot of this type of curb at Kyalami, like here in turn 1. It's basically like, you see, it's not like flat. Just it basically goes let me, like, you see it like if I that's basically like the peak of the curb, and that's like the road. So you see, there is like, it's not on the same level. So what you need to try then, if you want to take these curves, is, as I want to show you, right, like that. You want to drive on the curb from, like, let me go. It's like, if you go too early, it will be hard for you to take the curb, because you would like drive here over the grass, and then because then the curb suddenly gets higher, you would basically just bottom out. So what you need to try to do is, if you want to go on the curb, you always go like from the right to the left, so like where this big curb starts, never like where the black is, never go here on the curb, only like from the side, like here.
Okay.
Like here, from this into this direction.
So basically, if I like when I'm approaching it and I look at the tire marks on the curb, is that a good reference point,
Yeah, you can.
or should I be taking it a bit earlier?
I mean, it depends. I guess you can also take it a little bit earlier. We can check how I take it here. So like really late turn in, and then we come across from the right to the left here. See? Like just before the tire marks there, we go over the curb here. And then full throttle. Everything from here now is full throttle. You try to stay as close to the right side, even maybe if you want to take a little bit off the curb, because you want to get as maximum to the right, basically, as possible for this left-hander. And it's important that you don't go too much to the right here, because the corner has a little bit of camber. So if you go too much to the right, you just will understeer, and you will basically lose time. And the curb on the right also pulls you around, so I wouldn't recommend to go on it. Yeah, so like this corner is really tricky. So you don't brake a lot for this corner. You try to use your braking and your momentum to position your car for the entry. And you basically use the brake here to rotate the car. And as like in turn 1, we'd go again over the curb. But it's also important here, as if I go a little bit back here, you don't want to go like, the sun is a little bit annoying, but so again, like at this curb, you don't want to drive like straight over it, not like that, you want to go from the side and drive over it, so like that, not like straight over the curb, because if you go straight, the car just bottoms out. But if you go like from the side over the curb, it will allow the car, the suspension, to move longer and adapt for the change. Otherwise, if you just go straight, it's just like zero, no elevation, and then bam, 20 centimeters, and then the suspension can't cope with that, and you bottom out. So also here, it's important to go from the side, from the right to the left over the curb, and not straight.
That's good.
Yeah, okay. I also see it here, like I'm going from the side over it. Then I'm also not bottom out. Maximizing here everything on the exit, as always. Sometimes you can get on the grass. It's not that of a problem, but just be careful. The car can be unbalanced and you can lose it quite quickly. Then sunset, the right-hander. We go here on the left, as you see on on this extra piece of tarmac just to have like a better entry. And my braking reference point, if you want, is based, or end turn-in point actually, is approximately like, you will see if I it's easier to spot actually in the car, but you will also see it right here. You see like the curb is here, as this goes like that, and then it just like
goes in.
Yeah, exactly. And where the curb goes in, when I pass this with my with my car, I'm starting to brake and turn in. Basically brake and then start to turn in when I release the brakes. So that's basically my reference point for this corner. It's quite a tough one, so it's important to have their reference point if possible. And you will see, like, if I slow down, keep an eye here on this area, because you see, like, here is where the curb gets tighter. So I'll slow down even more. So you see, like, I'm straight. And then here I'm at my reference point. I'm starting to brake, turn the car. Don't go too early to the right, otherwise you need to wait unnecessarily long to go on the throttle again. And then when you see, like, I mean, you always look far ahead, so you see, like, the corner closes, and then it starts to open up a little bit, and then you go on the throttle. Maximize every inch of the track as possible on the outside. You see, like, you can even go with your left tires on off the curb there. And then for this left-hander, we brake at 50, just after the 50-meter marker. Just after we pass it, as you see here. Second gear for this corner. And again, you will see it's the same curb, like at the other corners, which I showed you. So same approach, like we don't go straight over curb, but we go from the right to the left over the curb. You see here, like that. Oh, also again, maximizing the track on the outside there. Here, my reference point is basically, you will see, I will just stop it. It's again, you see, if I go F7, I guess it will be a little bit easier for you. I used the start of the curb here, and just before that I'm braking and start to turn. So that's basically my reference point for this left-hander.
Okay.
Here where the curb starts, basically. And if it's wet, you need to be careful, because in the dry you can go on it, but in the wet it will just pull you to the right, and then you turn to the left, and then you will spin quite easily. So just remember to stay off the curbs on the corner entry, like here, for example. Okay. So like, oops, like that. You see, like, just before, or when I hit my reference point, I'm braking and turning, positioning the car. And again, like here, don't go straight over the curb, go from the right to the left again. Early on the throttle, because you want to carry as much speed as possible. And then also here, important, if you want to go on the curb, try to do again the approach. Now it's the right hander, so we go from the left to the right and not like straight over the curb.
Got it.
And then as early as possible on power, because you can lose a lot of time if you're not confident here. And here also maximizing the track on the outside. Be careful here, that track limits are quite harsh, so if I would go more to the left, it would be easily a cut.
So basically, if your left wheel touches the grass, it's a cut, basically?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Maybe even earlier. Yeah. Depends on the car. And then here the famous hairpin, one of the most difficult corners, because you see your reference point really late, and basically, like, what I do is, like, I see my reference point and then I know, like, after like a quarter of a second or so I need to brake, so it's basically like there is no like reference points here I brake. It's like, okay, this is my reference point, and after a couple of temps I brake. So you see, like,
Okay.
it's I mean, that's why the corner is so difficult. So you basically, I mean, my reference time is a little bit earlier. So we see the 50-meter board, but then you see like here on the right side, you have this stripe. You see, this white one.
Oh yes. Yeah, I never noticed that, but yes.
And after like I don't know, 2 or 3 temps, I'm braking. So that's like, if I see this stripe and the Fanatec logo here, but I don't look at the Fanatec logo, but just that because it's not the only stripe on the road. There are like several ones, and they just basically indicate like the distance to the apex. Maybe I guess if I go even F7, it's actually, you see the stripe of the 50-meter board.
Yes.
So if your field of view is a little bit, more, you can actually also use the 50-meter board on the left or on the right. Depends what you want. But just after it's like I'm starting to brake. Like for me, this reference point, for example, like the curb here, you could think like you could also use it here. But like in my opinion, it's way too late when you see that you already have to brake. So that's not like the best option in my opinion. So just take the 50-meter board or the stripe on the road, and then you will be fine. Just after that, you need to brake. So okay, let's. Here in this corner, like after this hairpin, you have a really long straight. So we want to maximize your exit speed. So the goal is to have a late apex and again go from the right, to the left over the curb. Like here you see like I even had like more space on the inside, so I actually could gain even more time if I would be a little bit, tighter and over the curb there. And it's important.
And can you show me?
Yeah, sorry.
Can you show me the line going into that apex? And also, because it's an unseen corner coming up over the crest, like where do you start turning? And yeah. I know that depends on speed and everything too.
Okay, if we go to 7. Okay. So, I mean, we're approaching, like you see, we're going from here. We're arriving here, 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 and approximately here is the 50-meter board. And then from there, let's say we start braking here, and we stay really long, straight, and then we even need to turn in later than you think, because if you like, I take black for this color, if you turn in too early, you have the same issue as in turn 1. You're too early on the inside, and then you need to wait, and then you can accelerate,
Okay.
But that's why, we try to turn in really late, so. We try to take here, like, just like we maybe even start like turning maybe like almost at the same time, but not as aggressive, so we can basically have a better angle here over the curb and accelerate in a better and straighter way here.
Yeah, that's a very tricky corner.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, on the one hand, it's you just see it so late, it's like you drive it from your muscle memory. That's why it's so hard to drive it the first couple of hours or so, because you need to really get a feeling like how much speed you can carry into it. Because if you like turn in too early and you brake too early, then you will be just too early on the inside. If you brake too late, then you just overshoot the corner, and then you will lose also time, you know. So we really need to find this compromise between like getting the right speed through the corner and turning in at the right time. I can slow down here. So we're passing 50-meter board. Then after like 2-3 attempts, we're braking here. Straight, you see straight, straight, straight. Then a little bit of a turn in, and then we do the high steering lock. Then already on the power really early because the corner is opening up, kind of, you know. So you want to make use that to your own advantage. Okay, so the quick left hander. In the wet, it's really difficult compared to the dry because most of the time you can't get it flat. But in the dry here, we need to like make it like the easiest way possible for you. Like we stay on the right side, really, really long, and before we pass the bridge here, or this, you know, I don't know how you call it here. This thing basically. We start to turn in. I mean, like that's like a reference point for you, but like rather try to just look at the apex here and just drive out of your feeling like how much you want to turn in, you know, and just, you know, if you think you're too much, you do less. Like just, you know, with your eyes, try to anticipate and look for the apex, and then like the corner is like does it from on its own. It's like not a big deal,
Okay.
and it's flat. Complete flat, you see.
Oh yeah.
And then important, like we don't go too much to the right. We already go to the left because we want to have the best possible entry for the right hander, and to go as early as possible. So we need on the power as early as possible. So we need to brake really, really late and on the left side. You see, like I'm maximizing all the track on the left side.
Yeah.
Turning in. Again, like using the brake to rotate the car, and then again on the curb from the left to the right, not just straight over it. And then instantly on the power because the corner is opening up again. A little bit of a correction, but that's okay. So
I can imagine that corner while racing. That's a lot of people would want to try to pass on the inside, right? Taking that line.
yeah, of course, because you want to have like the best entry for the right hander. You go to the left, and
Yes.
they just see the opportunity then because there's like so much space on the inside. So if you're like somebody is really close to you, like 2, 3, 4 tenths, let's say maximum 3 tenths, you maybe want to, depends on the driver if you know him or not, how aggressive he is. You want to definitely cover the inside because it's just way too easy to overtake there. Because if you're on the outside, you need to open up the steering to prevent an incident. So just like rather defend one time more than one time too less, you know.
That's right.
Because that's like one of the corners where you can actually pass if you're like really confident. The other one is basically turn 1, and yeah, that's it actually on this track. Then one of the most famous corners of Kyalami, Cheetah, the right hander here, with a big curb on the inside. Like because we know like it's a really fast corner, and to not lose any time, we need to get the best possible entry. So we, as you see, go to the left side as close as possible. Don't go on the grass, of course. And then we use like the curb a little bit as the start of the curb as a reference for our turn in and brake application. I think in the Ferrari, I'm not sure if I brake actually. I think you can only lift, but I'm not completely sure. So you see this curb here. That's basically, if we pass that, or at this curb, when we arrive there, we start braking it and our turning application. So you will see, like here we come. We just tap the brake a little bit to get the car rotated, and then early on power, maximizing the track on the outside. And that's Cheetah basically. It's important, like, rather if you need to decide turn in earlier or later, if like worst case scenario, rather just open up your steering again, because if you just turn in too early, this curb will basically just has no forgiveness. It will just shoot you straight into the wall. So if you see like at this point, hey, I won't make it, I will cut the curb too much and it will kill me basically, you will just already, like, to prevent it, you will open up the steering and maybe go even on the gravel, on the grass, but that's much safer than going over the curb.
Okay, so save yourself.
Exactly. And then last corner, just before the 50-meter board, that's our reference point when we brake. Trailing the brake into the corner to get the car rotated, and then again from the right to the left, a little bit over the curb, and then maximizing the track on the exit. It's important in this hairpin, not hairpin, in the last corner, that you don't cut too much. If you cut too much on the inside of the curb, it will understeer you, and you will lose traction on the rear, and this will result into like the car's TC going crazy, and you will just won't be able to accelerate out of the corner properly. Yeah, that's basically one lap at Kyalami. So, do you, Verena, have any questions you want to ask?
Actually, I think I asked all of them at the time. We were in the corners. I mean, I'm sure others will come up as I start driving and stuff, but yeah, you explained everything very well.
Okay,
Thank
perfect. That sounds good. Which car do you drive again, the race?
The Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo.
Okay, is there something I can give you as an advice for this car? Let me think. I mean, I'm not sure, like, the fuel, or the car is really hungry in terms of fuel, or thirsty. So just keep in mind that you maybe need to run in engine map 2. Depends on how long the stint timer is. How long is the race?
It is 3 hours.
3 hours, and you drive it on your own or with somebody?
With somebody. So I guess we're still kind of figuring out how the stints will look like, what the stints will look like.
Okay, yeah. Just keep in mind that you maybe need to drive in map 2 for a couple of laps just to get the car, over, or just, to be able to fill the stint timer,
Okay.
Yeah, and then the car should be quite good over curbs, so that should play into your advantage. Also pulls out quite good out of the corners with its torque advantage on the other cars. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't see any like disadvantage, which you will have with the car. It maybe is even more stable than the Ferrari because it's a front engine. But yeah, overall, should be a good car for you to drive, I guess.
I'm looking forward to it. I really love driving the Ferrari, but for our team, we're testing different cars and which would be more consistent long term, and with different teammates, then we just chose the Merc, and I was really surprised with it, actually. I feel like I can get away with so much more. Where I lose time on the track, I'm like, oh no, and then all of a sudden I'm gaining time in places that I feel like I would never have gained it in the Ferrari, or I would have lost that time forever. You know what I mean? And it's so much more forgiving. You make a mistake and you're like, okay, I can catch that and stuff like that. But it's still, I still love driving the Ferrari because it just feels so alive to me.
Yeah, it's really direct, and it just has like a lot of response. And the Merc also has it, but the Merc just allows you to do more mistakes. Basically, I mean, it's just more stable and more friendly, like more like a gentleman's car. I mean, that the series like GT3 cars is basically like a series made for a gentleman. So, so just that the cars are not that hard to drive. So I mean, basically every car is drivable. You just basically only need to find the car which suits you the best. And if it's the Ferrari, okay. If it's the Merc, also okay. So yeah, I mean, as long as you're happy with it and you are quick and you enjoy driving it, why not?
That's right. What's your favorite car in ACC to drive?
Honestly, like, I mean, if you just ask me, like, I think I would say the McLaren, because the McLaren is just like, it has so much downforce, and every like high speed corner is just so much fun because the car is just like on rails. It just goes like perfectly through it. No, no bounciness, no oversteer, understeer, just like planted. And uh, in terms of lap time, it's also quick on most tracks.
Really?
And
That's
all,
interesting.
yeah,
Hmm.
and not only that, like the traction control of the McLaren is just like the best in the game, in my opinion. You basically run TC1 and it's just like so smooth. If the traction control finds any slip, it just cuts a little bit, but not too much, because a lot of cars like the TC is like full or no TC, So sometimes you just have a little bit of slip and the TC just doesn't cut it, but then you sometimes you have so much and it also doesn't cut it, and or too much, it cuts too much, and like you don't have this issues with the McLaren. It's just like perfect in terms of that.
Yeah, I actually, when I was testing the cars, we tested almost all of them. The
Mm.
McLaren was one of my favorites as well. And I felt like it handled, or it felt like the Ferrari. Obviously, it's mid-engine as well, but I felt like it was way more forgiving. It felt super smooth to drive right off of the bat. The only thing that I had some challenges with, that I felt like I couldn't, even though it felt fast, it felt like it wasn't fast. Like my times, even like going back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I would have to drive, like really push the car to its limits in order to get a decent time. Whereas the other cars, I felt like I may have not been at like my limit, or like
Mm-hmm.
the Ferrari, to get a similar time. So yeah,
I
interesting.
I mean, it's kind of funny, like depends on your position, where you sit in the car,
Hmm.
how far at the
Interesting.
front and how far at the back. Like you also like the sense of the speed, or how you think how quick you are is also different, because in the McLaren you sit really low and also really close at the front. Like, I mean, if you like that's like the look of the Ferrari. Like if you just go um into do I have I should have a McLaren on board. Let me
Like
see.
this.
Here. I should be fine like that. Um, I mean, you see,
I like
like
the way it looks too.
here, you're like much close to the ground, and it just like it just looks so much quicker. It's like for some reason you think like you actually go faster, though you drive the same speed also, but
Right.
because it has like a different position, it just looks so much quicker. And I'm not sure if you hear it, but there's also, I don't think you hear it because I'm streaming my screen, but there is like a bug in ACC in the replay where you have like the sound of a curb strike like consistently, and it's just present again. And it's a little bit annoying, but yeah, uh, happens. Yeah, so I actually also have an endurance race on this Saturday, 12-hour charity race.
Oh,
Yeah,
and where's that at? Where's that at? And what car will you be driving?
SimGrid. I think SimGrid does it, and I will drive the Beamer, the BMW M6 with the G2 guys. So yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
I tried the M6 and I could not get used to it, but I hadn't spent a lot of time in it.
yeah. I know the car is something else.
So why did you folks decide to choose that one?
I mean, BMW is the sponsor of G2 Esports, so it makes sense to drive the Beamer, and
Absolutely.
it's also like quite fun to drive. I mean, like if you get a hang of it. And it's definitely like one of the most special car in ACC because it feels so different. Like it has the longest wheelbase in the game. It's also rather old. And yeah, I mean, it has on a lot of tracks good top speed. Depends on the BOP, of course, but it's definitely fun to drive, and it's cool to represent BMW.
Awesome. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
good luck with that. When do you know what time it is? And
I think it's at 12 o'clock British time. It starts. It's a 12-hour race. So, uh, yeah, should be from 12 o'clock. Is it UTC British time till like 12 o'clock midnight? So 12
so
a.m. to
everybody
12
watch
p.m.
it.
Yeah, yeah,
Watch it. Your
yeah, yeah,
trigger on.
yeah. I mean, I will stream it on my YouTube channel. I guess Niels Nayox will stream it on his. So yeah. Will be
Very
definitely
cool.
cool. Yeah, yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. It will be a cool day for sure. Tough because we are 3 drivers. But yeah, will be definitely a cool race, I guess. And it's for charity, so always good.
Absolutely. So what do the stints look like for a race like that for you folks?
Yeah, I mean, like in terms of strategy, like you always plan your stint according to the stint timer because you always want to maximize it. So let's say if your stint timer in game depends of course on the server setting, but generally it's like 65 minutes. So you want to maximize 65 minutes because then you will have like a little bit more play with the strategy later on,
Mhm.
compared to if you just pit every 60 minutes, you just lose 5 minutes every stint. And maybe if you need to pit like then even one time more at the end, maybe the weather changes. So just try to maximize the stint timer just to have like this time advantage in terms of deciding which strategy you want to do. And yeah.
Okay. Now you now you're talking about the stint timer, and that's not something that I've actually heard before. So, it's not just the in-game timer, it's a stint timer.
Yeah, basically a stint timer is like a timer
Yeah.
which like
Where is it in
set
the game?
it's
Like
it
that will show you.
yeah, yeah, it will be basically at the top left where your lap time is, and even in the HUD. It's like
Oh,
a timer. It's like a maximum timer you are allowed to spend on the track with like after one stop. Like let's say you just start the race, and when the race starts, when you drive over the line, when it gets green, the stint timer starts to count down from 1 hour and 5 minutes. And then
yes.
you need to be in the pits before the timer hits zero. If you pass the timer when it already hits zero and you're still on track, it will give you a drive-through or stop and go penalty.
Yes. Okay.
So you basically drive then into the pits and do the pit stop, driver swap, or just change tires and refuel it. And if you drive out of the pits, the same timer resets again. So then it again
Well,
has 1 hour and 5 minutes.
well, I'll have to look for that for sure because I've never noticed it because I've never really had to.
Yeah, I mean,
I will.
let me quickly check if we.
All right, here we'll get back to.
Normally, like if we pick an endurance race here, 3 race weekend, skip race length. You should see the stint timer. I'm not in my rig, so I can't drive, but
Okay.
you will see what I mean. I hope so, at least. Oh, yeah, you see here on the right.
Oh yeah.
So basically, what you will see is here, for example. Oh, that's not the best color. Let's take yellow here. Maybe I need to draw a little better. Here, you see like that's driver 1, that's driver 2, that's driver 3. That's the drivers on the entry list on your car. So this will be like you'll be maybe driver 1 would be Verena, and then you have here like, let me take a different color. Here is like the driving time limiter, but that's not the stint time limiter. The driving time limiter is just like a limit set by the server or by the admins, which tells you how much one single driver can drive in the entire race. So you always don't want to go over it. So that's like one part of this HUD. But then here
Oh, wow.
you see like again on the top left here, that's your stint timer. Here is one indicator for it, and then you also have like your stint timer here in the HUD. That's 1 hour and 5 minutes.
Okay.
So if I would drive now, go over the line, it would start down to count. You know, it would go to 1 hour, then 50 minutes, then at 10 minutes it gives you a warning that your stint is ending, and then after 5 minutes it gives you again a warning, and then I think that was the last one, or 3 minutes again. But you know, before you hit like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 on this stint timer, you want to be already in the pits. We try to go as close as possible to it, but you always want to go, and you always want to enter the pit lane before it goes to 0, 0, 0, you know? Like
Okay.
if 1 second is left, it's fine, but you know, you just want to not go over it when you enter the pit lane. So
Got it.
yeah, that's like that. I mean, this stint timer basically determines when you go into the pits, you know. And if you do like now, if you drive into the pits, it will stop counting down. You do your pit stop, and as you drive out, it will reset to 1 hour and 5 minutes, or the value which they set in the config on the server, and then it will go to 1 hour and 5, for example, and count down.
Okay.
Also important to know, if you have a penalty like a drive-through, and you drive through the pit lane, it won't reset your stint timer. You need to do a pit stop, and then it will be resetted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That is good to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I'm driving with somebody who's experienced at Enduros.
Yeah, that's always good. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty. Well, I don't know how much time you have, Gregor. If you need to jump, you can. I appreciate your help. If you can stick around, that would be awesome as well. So you let me know.
I mean, do you have any questions left, Verena?
Um, I don't think so. I mean, you answered everything. It was also always more about, all the little details of the track, the line and everything, because when you go through these sessions with me, like even though I had practiced before, then it's really seeing where I can gain time, what I'm doing wrong, and knowing precisely where I need to be on the track so I can just repeat that every lap and practice that so I can do it without thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Verena, I guess I will shoot now, because I need to do also some other stuff. But yeah, I hope if you have any questions, just write me. I will answer them.
Okay.
And yeah, see you then
Sounds good.
later. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gregor. Good luck
Yeah.
with your race as well. We'll be cheering you on.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, also like from my side, thank you guys for watching, and yeah, see you on Saturday for the 12 hours. Bye.